Hey, what's going on, everybody? Sam Dog, the infamous 253, Brendon Nelson coming at you guys for the wild card weekend Seahawks versus Rams wild card game preview for the beginning of the playoffs from Lumen Field. Round 3, we got the rubber match that we thought we might get because the Cardinals basically got eliminated and all that stuff too. But now we're basically ready for our third rubber match. Brendon, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Sam. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, now basically we're in that time of year where now it's basically win and move on and lose and go home. So we know that they won it from last time, from we took the division from them. We know they're going to be coming in very hungry. Even Aaron Donald said that he wanted us. Jalen Ramsey said that they wanted us from a text that I got from my buddy Anish. But we all know the usual things with Seahawks versus Rams is that they always bring it, and Russell is probably expected to take a few sacks or even more every time we take on this Rams team with Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, and freaking Sebastian Joseph Day and Brockers. Brockers going to be back. I mean, I heard Cooper Kupp is now off that COVID-19 list, but the real question is, what quarterback are we going to see first? Are we going to be seeing Goff, or is it going to be Wolford again?
I kind of expected to be Wolford, but it certainly can go either way at this point. They're being pretty vague about whether or not Goff is going to play. I personally expect to see Wolford, but we have to be prepared for both possibilities. But whoever we end up playing, we should be able to handle this, I feel like, because the defense is playing really well right now. And if we're playing John Wolford, we're playing a QB with very little NFL experience and very little NFL-type quarterback talent. And if we play Jared Goff, we're playing a quarterback who we already know is not a particularly good quarterback. We know he has a lot of problems, at least, and he also has a bad thumb. So whoever we play, there should be some things we can take advantage of there. And I expect this defense to be able to take advantage of either matchup. So if it's Goff, then I'm not going to cede anything in this game. And if it's Wolford, I'm going to feel all the more confident.
One of my concerns, though, going into this is obviously not having Jaron Reed with the oblique strain that he suffered last week against the 49ers. We know Jamal's playing hurt, and he said there's no way in hell he's basically missing his first play. He's not missing his first playoff game, even with the shoulders that he hurt. So that's going to be tough for us. And I know, and another positive though is that I think we're going to have our full offensive line back. What Dwayne Brown, saw something that Dwayne Brown said something earlier about having our full front at the offensive line. So hopefully that should help out with trying to run the ball with Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde and Rashad Penny if he comes back, if he's feeling better from his cramps last week, which obviously he should be ready. But what do you think going into this one with the offense? I mean, having a full offensive line, I'll let you go first on this one. So what do you think?
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see if the offensive struggles of the last couple months can be related almost entirely to that offensive line not being 100%, because obviously the last couple months, the offense has not been a historically great offense like it was at the start. It's been actually a pretty average offense. We fell all the way from the number one offense in the NFL to we ended up 8th, I think, in points. So things really did level off. But some people have pointed out that the offense losing steam coincided with guys like Mike Upati and Brandon Shell starting to miss games. So this game is going to be a very interesting test to see how things change once we get all 5 starting offensive linemen out there again, because there's a very tough balance to strike in this game, because we were playing a great defense. The Rams might have the best defense in the NFL, actually. The Rams might have the best pass rush in the NFL all around as well. They've gotten Wilson on the ground, I think, 10 total times over the course of our 2 games this season. So you want to make sure that your offense is getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly when you're playing this team. But if there's one thing that really kind of exposes the problems that the Seahawks offense has had over the last 2 months, it's that we've gotten away from the big play. We haven't been making big plays in these games. I don't think we had a single big play against Washington. I think we had one big play against the Rams. We might have had one big play against the 49ers. we're not moving down the field in big strides right now. Everything is very slow. Everything is 5, 6, 7, 8 yards at a time. So it's going to be tough to find that balance between respecting the Rams' pass rush and letting Wilson air it out and try to hit some plays down the field because he hasn't been hitting them lately.
Yeah, he needs to
Not
basically.
at the frequency he was, at least not at the frequency he was before. So that's what I'm looking for.
I'm looking for that too. I mean, the offense has been stalling. We just can't afford to stall like we were stalling a bit last week against a banged up San Francisco team. We got to get back to, super aggressive, deep plays if we can get them, and just being aggressive and taking our shots and just putting up points. We got to put up points early if we want to try to get away with this one. We got to play not just one quarter. I felt like we only came out in the fourth quarter. We got to just show up for all four quarters, especially against a team like LA and the way Sean McVay runs that team. You got to show up for all four quarters and cannot, as me and Dallas always say, come out flat. We just can't afford to just start out the way we started last week and, the slow starts. We just playoff time is there's no room for slow starts. But another thing is also still trying to shut down Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, penning the quarterback. But for me personally, I would feel a lot better about going up against Wolford because what I saw from their matchup against the Cardinals last week, I don't think Wolford did not throw a single touchdown pass. He didn't put it in the end zone. His defense was what got the ball in the end zone. Wolford didn't even put the ball in the end zone once, just drove him on field goal drives. So there's just a lot going into that we need to just get right on offense and defense. If the defense can continue playing the way that it's been playing and just not give up any big plays to the Rams, and we can get pressure on that quarterback and put him on the ground and force him to throw some interceptions or a strip sack of turnovers. Like we said, we've been saying all these years is that winning that turnover battle is going to win us the games. Just got to get after them and it's playoff time. It's like we got to make it count this time. Obviously.
Yeah. I feel like our defense is pretty much ready to go. Pete Carroll has already said that he expects Jerron Reed to play. He expects pretty much everybody to play except maybe Darrell Taylor. And at this point, who particularly cares about that one? So I have a lot of faith in this defense right now. I kind of went into it in my video that I uploaded earlier today on my channel. But the pass rush has been playing really well lately, and they really rounded into form as being one of the best pass rushes in the league by the end of the season. So whichever quarterback we happen to face, I'm ready and willing to take on that challenge. At the end of the day, if you can't find a way to get it done against either Goff with a bad thumb or John Wolford, then you probably don't deserve to go anywhere in the playoffs anyway. So I like what this defense is doing. I trust them in this game. The Rams offense has really not been great this season. It's been pretty good, but it has not lived up to the expectations, I don't think. So to me, you might be able to get away with not playing your best on offense and you could win again. We could see something similar to what we saw 2 weeks ago against the Rams, where the offense really didn't do anything for a half. They made 2 good drives in the fourth quarter, and that was enough because our defense played so well.
Exactly.
And it's possible we'll see something like that again this week. And clearly, after the first half of the season, when the offense was really opening things up, we've kind of retreated back into that whole thing of, well, we're going to just avoid turnovers for 3 quarters and then try to go win it in the fourth quarter.
Right.
We've clearly kind of retreated back into that sort of game plan, which I don't like. I don't think that's going to work out for us in the long run. I don't think it's going to work well against other teams. It might work this week because we draw this matchup against a team with an offense that may not be able to produce very much. So I'm interested to see how this team approaches this game. In my opinion, the jobs of some people, like, say, Brian Schottenheimer, could be on the line. If the offense doesn't perform well enough for us to win a game or two in the playoffs, then I feel like Brian Schottenheimer may be moving on this offseason. The flip side of that being if he performs really well, maybe he gets a head coaching job somewhere. Yeah. But I'm very interested to see what the offensive approach is to this game because right now Pete Carroll probably feels pretty empowered that his strategy of just the offense just does nothing until the fourth quarter and then they pull out the win at the end. He probably feels pretty good about that right now because it won the game last week. To a certain extent, it won the game against the Rams. So I'm interested to see if we abandon that sort of thing and we open things up a little more early on.
That is what I'm anxious to see too. But another thing is, are you expecting Cam Akers and both Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson to be back this time around? Because Darrell Henderson, he was killing us on the ground the last time around until Jamal Adams made that key stop, that touchdown saving stop, which basically injured him. And then Cam Akers, of course, was out for the last time we played him. Are you expecting both those guys back this week for
Yeah,
us?
I do, but again, I don't really care who the Rams running back is. They're going to run the ball some. They may even have some success doing it. They had a little success in both of our earlier matchups this year. They've been a pretty good running team this year in general, so of course they're going to utilize that regardless of who their running back is. But I ultimately, this game will be won or lost by whether or not we can make plays against their passing attack, because that's where you have the opportunity to force turnovers. That's where you have the opportunity to have drive-ending sacks. That's where the money is going to be made in this game. So I think Cam Akers will play. I think Henderson will play. But I don't think that's really going to change all that much for this game. I believe in this run defense. If in almost every game this year, they've played very well. I detailed in my video yesterday about how whatever negatives I have to say about Bobby Wagner this season, one thing that he's done a tremendous job of so far this season is his run defense.
Right.
It's improved dramatically from last year.
Yeah.
So I feel good about, like I said, I feel really good about where this defense is right now. I kind of wish we kept Snacks Harrison right now because our defensive tackle depth is a little shaky, but I feel really good about where this defense is right now. And this Rams offense, I'm not seeing a whole lot of reason to be scared of them right now.
Yeah, but they have usually thrived most of the time off the play action to their tight ends and that too. So
Yeah, pretty much every offense in the league thrives off play action, which is why when the Seahawks offense is doing well, you typically see them incorporate a lot of play action into the game plan. That's just a simple matter of, misdirection and distracting the defense. It's something that costs you nothing to do. And I believe that the best offenses in the league use play action almost constantly, and the Rams are certainly in that category. It hasn't exactly worked out tremendously well for them this year so far because their offense has not been up to standard. But in general, yeah, you would expect them to do a lot of play action. You would expect them to maybe try to use Jamal Adams' aggression against him, kind of like the Patriots did in week 2. That's something that's probably on their mind because they know how Jamal Adams is very fired up for this game, and he may end up putting himself in a bad position because he's a little too amped up. It's something to watch out for. But I feel like this defense is ready to go in this game. And I like I said, I kind of wish we had a little more defensive tackle depth right now, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, maybe we should have kept Snacks for this run, but apparently we didn't. But Brian Monet is going to have to step up big if whatever happens with Jaron Reed too. Brian Monet and who else we got on there too for us.
We might call up DeMarcus Christmas. We might call up some Cedric Lattimore, I think. So
go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, my eye really is on the offense and how they approach the balancing act because again, Russell Wilson's best attribute is his deep ball. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. He has a tremendous deep ball. And our offense is at its best when he's hitting big plays to guys like Metcalf.
We're going to challenge Ramsey a lot more in this game too, especially.
Yeah. But I also recognize that this offense needs to adapt and understand that they're playing against a really good pass rush and a really good defense. And there are times when Wilson just needs to get the ball out of his hands. So that balancing act is, to me, the most interesting thing to watch in this game. Because, again, our offense was at its best when we were hitting a lot of big plays. We hit a lot of big plays against Atlanta, New England, Dallas. But we've really gotten away from that lately.
Yeah, and my only concern is this: as long as Russell's not holding on to the ball too long and not taking any unnecessary sacks, then I'm good with that. Just don't take unnecessary sacks. And I mean, I've even said Wilson's flawed his entire career has been he holds onto the ball too long, takes some unnecessary sacks. It's just he's got to get rid of the ball quicker, you know? Just get rid of
Yeah,
that ball fast and just
right. But yeah, that's the balancing act.
balance.
Can Wilson hold onto the ball long enough to make some big plays that can win this game? But can he also avoid holding onto the ball too long on too many plays and result in big negative plays? That's something that has caught up to us in a few of these games this year.
Yeah.
And this whole season, I think we've had a really hard time finding the balance where early on, Wilson was hitting a ton of big plays, but he was playing teams with no pass rush. Atlanta has no pass rush. New England has no pass rush. Dallas, at that point in time, had one guy who could rush the passer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was working out very well. But then the season went on, and we played some teams with a better pass rush. Wilson was taking too many sacks. The offense was not playing as well. So then we started going to more short stuff like we did against Washington, where a game where Wilson basically never took any shots down the field. So the question is, how are we going to strike that balance? And it might matter for this game, but it might not because we're playing against an offense that is relatively neutered. But you better believe it's going to matter a lot when you're playing a team like the Saints or the Packers or the Chiefs or anybody.
Buffalo.
Anybody with a good offense.
And
Buffalo too.
Mm-hmm. Can't forget about Buffalo. I mean, especially those high power offenses. And then, of course, even with what Tom Brady was able to do with Tampa Bay this year at the age of 40.
Yeah. Buccaneers too. But yeah, that's really most of what I'm watching for in this game. Special teams are another interesting one because we've obviously had tremendous special teams this year, and we need them to maintain that elite level of play in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's something that can flip a playoff game if it gets close. Because the most likely scenario as of right now is that this game is close. This game comes down to the last 15, 20 minutes, and things like special teams play are going to decide who wins or loses this game.
And Michael Dixon's been phenomenal lately at punting.
And I really think that's really all there is to say about this one. I built up a lot of faith in this defense lately. I think this defense is ready to go eat. Hopefully they can force some game-flipping turnovers, but if that doesn't happen, then, eyes are going to be on this offense. Right. Can they strike that right balance? And look, I and many other Seahawks fans are pretty down on Schottenheimer right now because the way the offense went stagnant, but if we unlock something now that we have a healthy offensive line, then things are going to make a lot more sense come a Saturday, I think. So with that, I think that's really all I can say about this game.
All right. We got it, though. We got to unleash hell on them. We got to do it for 4 quarters and not just the 4th. Just get it done early. All right, guys. It's pretty much all we got. Make sure you guys also go subscribe to Brendon Nelson if you haven't. And then, of course, if you're new, hit the subscribe and ring the bell and hit the thumbs up on my channel too. Brendon does his gaming streams, and make sure you check out his other videos, Seahawks related, that he's done too, for like his preview and Wagner watches, and you know the rest, right? And Brendon, thank you once again for doing this again with me, and hopefully we get another week to do this for the divisional round, pending on all that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, for now, let's just try to get out there and let's hopefully try to get it done against the Rams and try to move on. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Catch y'all on the next one. If you ain't with it, you ain't infamous. As always, go Seahawks.